Hey guys, Darren Carr here, Coach of Wise Ocean Pods, and welcome back to another episode of our round preview series. On today's episode, we will be previewing round 15, the final round of the buys, and possibly the hardest buy round of them all. It's hard to believe that we've had 7 buy rounds so far this year, and this is now number 8. What an unusual year, but yeah. Let's get into what we're discussing today. So, as usual, we'll be going through all the trade-in, trade-out targets, giving my thoughts on what you should be doing. I think it's pretty straightforward again this week. Again, buys are pretty straightforward when you put it into simple terms. You're trading out players that are either on the buy and trading in players that already had their buy. So this week's probably the easiest one. You've got so many players to choose from, as we've had, 12 teams off the buy now, with only the 6 teams remaining. So there's plenty of options to talk about, and yeah, let's sort of get into it. So we'll quickly just go through the trade-out targets. I think this is pretty straightforward again. So before I get into just going through the list here, I think the number one priority this week is just getting rid of round 15 rookies. So we've all got a lot of round 15 rookies, as you know, we've all traded them in recently. So we've all got plenty of rookies that need to be traded up. Specifically my team, I think I have like 10 players on the buy this week, so I'm looking to offload a couple of the rookies there, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But going through the list here, most traded out is Jack Steele, 11.9k. Coaches are trading him out, which is a little bit unusual in my eyes, given like I get he has been bad. Let's just have a look at his scores here. So in his last 6 weeks, he's only gone over 100 twice, that including a 131 and a 122. Besides that, he's had 270s, 180, and a 96. So, really not great. I understand that. It just feels very luxurious, I would say that. So, I'd only probably tick this off if you're up the top end. Like, if you're really pushing for the hat or the car or whatever, your team's in a really good position, you've probably got 22 premiers on the field already, and you're really set up for the buys. After the buys, and you got no more rookies on the field. Studying on my words already. But if you're in a position like mine, where I'm still probably going to have 1 rookie on the field after the buys, then I probably wouldn't recommend it. There's always a chance that he does turn it around, and maybe the buy is what he needed just to get fit again, and then he can come back out and start smashing it again like he did in the first period of the season. So I understand some of the concerns around his job, his captain of the side, right? But his role, I understand he went forward a lot in that last game, but that was because he was getting tagged by Berry, and they just needed to change a few things up. So that's not really playing in my mind at all. I think he can come good. So, but then I also look at his fixture coming up. He's got Port Adelaide straight after the bye, so really tough one there. He's played them once this season and he scored a 72, so already not looking great. Then he's got Sydney, also a really tough matchup. They also have a tagger in James Jordan, so it's something to keep in mind there. Maybe, I don't think James Jordan will go to a Steele. Maybe he goes to Wangani Malura if he's back. Jordan typically tags sort of those slimmer guys in the halfback rather than, Steele's a pretty tough dude, so I think he's going to be pretty hard to tag in that one. Then you got the likes of Crows. I think that should be pretty straightforward. I don't think they have really a tagger as such. West Coast Eagles, pretty straightforward again. Why'd that move out? So I really don't mind keeping him. Like, if I had him, then I'd probably just persist, especially with the way my team's sort of set up at the moment. I just persist with it. He's actually got quite a few good matchups towards the end of the season. So, what are you talking? You got Crows, who've been pretty easy. West Coast, we know how easy they are. And then you got Richmond, and you've got Cats as well. So 4 of the last 8 matches are really good. So I'd probably back him in just to go again, just to, I don't like trading my primos as much as I can. Like, I've got the butters in my team at the moment, and as much as I would love to trade him, I don't see the benefit. It just feels very sideways. I'm trading him to another primo. Like, even going from a Butters to a Walsh this week just doesn't feel right to me. Like, because any down, Walsh can do the exact same thing as a Butters, and drop a 70 like he did a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know, it just feels very sideways to me. But if it suits your team structure, like I said, if you've got all the rookies off the field and you're in that luxury season, absolutely jump off of him, try and jump on someone that's actually going to put up some big scores over the next period of time. Number 2, we've got Joel Frazier, and as weird as it is, I still think it's a little bit early on him. He's got a break-even of 39, averaging 56. He can pop 60s and 70s like we've seen previously. His highest score is 65. But, yeah, he's got North coming up after the bye, so I think it's probably not the right time to trade him just yet. I still think he probably has 1 or 2 matches in him. Also really like his job security. I think he's pretty cemented on that side at the moment. So I probably would be holding him, and I'm looking to do that. The only scenario I would look at trading him out is if that extra bit of coin on his head gets you to that player you're looking for. Because I know, say you've also got McAuliffe, who is 70k cheaper, so that money may not get you to that player you're looking for. So that's the only scenario I'd probably be looking at if you need to trade out Frazier. Next up is Darcy Wilson, and I think he absolutely needs to go. He is number 2 on my list. I know a lot of people got stuck with a Bonner or one of Wilson or Bonner last week, just given, trying to get both out in the same week is pretty tough, especially if you were pretty heavy last round. So I think if you have either one of them, you absolutely need to go this week. They are on the buy, so it's perfect timing. High break even, plenty of money in their head. Jump off. McAuliffe, I think, is probably one of the priority jumps off. I know he doesn't have a lot of money on his head. His job security is very rough. I don't think he'll be back after the bye, and even if he is, he's probably the sub again like he has been for the last 2 games. So pretty disappointing, as he was looking like he was going to be a pretty good rookie for us until a few of those veterans returned and took his spot in the side, unfortunately. So yeah, I think he's one to jump off if that money on his head gets you someone. Jeremy Sharp, after scoring the 15 last week, needs to go as well. 689k, break even to 125. I think he is a very big priority this week to jump off as well. Going to drop a huge amount of cash, dropped 36k last week. So he's only number 4 on my list of trade out targets, just given that he's not on his buy. He is a playing guy. So if you're really struggling for numbers, say you only have 18 this week, or you maybe even less than that, you absolutely need to keep him. If you have, you already have your 21 or you have 20, then maybe you can play with the possibility of trading him out. So, yeah, if you have any more than that, absolutely trade him out. He's going to lose a bunch of cash. So that's just my opinion of him. Yeah, he's got the Gold Coast this week. Has he played them before? No, he hasn't played them. So really hard to say what they're going to score. I don't think it's a great matchup though. So I think it's just time to jump off. Jack McRae's in my side currently, and he is going, so I think he's also up there. I think he's number 3 on my list. Just been shocking. Like, yes, he's put up some okay scores. He's sort of been around a 60 guy at this point in time. Not really hitting the strides that we were sort of expecting from that F6 spot. Plus, he's my 7th forward, so I think it's just time to jump off him. Not getting any better of a role. Just, yeah. Needs to jump off. I think it's pretty straightforward. Lockie Sullivan, another round 15 buy player. A rookie needs to go as well. Breaking 50. Over 400k. So, yep. Probably one I'd prefer to trade out over a Freya. Just given the high break even. So, yep. Perfect one to trade off there. Bono, like I said, needs to go as well. 129 break even. 664k now on his head, dropped 55k last week, so he is just plummeting. So jump off while you can before that hurts you too much. People are trading out a Nick Dacos, which is strange, very strange in my opinion. Again, probably more league matchups rather than people that are playing for overall ranking. I know he has a break even of 141, but he's still a gun and he's still going to score massively. He's got a pretty good run after the bye as well. Just look at this. Cats, Hawks, and then Tigers all in a row. And then a few others here as well. Gold Coast have been pretty tough, but I think you go well there. Essendon on that day can be pretty tough as well. So I think he'll be good. I'm not looking to move off of him at all. He's clearly D1 for me. Harvey Gallagher, again, another great one to jump off, high break even, nearly 500k, surprisingly. So yeah, he's perfect one to jump off. He'd be my number one. As a rookie, he needs to go. People jumping off all day, and I don't mind it. Like, I know a few people at the top that need to jump off him, just given that team's probably finished, and he's got a high break even now, so he's not going to make a huge amount of money, but he can provide a decent option for the next 2 weeks, given that he has West Coast and then the Cats, so he could put up some pretty decent scores against them. So if you need to hold him, then absolutely, that's a way I look at it. But if you're getting close to finishing a team and you're really struggling for trades this week, then I don't mind trading him out to complete your team. Tom Powell is another one I probably should have had on my list as a main trade-out target, but given that he's a main playing a midfielder, especially with all the unknown with the LDU this week and Simpkin, are they going to be back? Is that going to open availability for Power to play midfield? I just haven't put him in yet. I want to know a little bit more, so hopefully we know when teams drop tonight whether he is going to have that role or not. So big watch on him, but I still think he's a good option to trade out if you can. He's losing the role as a midfielder. He only dropped down to 30% CBAs on the weekend, so yeah, losing the role, not scoring very well, and yeah, definitely not anywhere near top 6 forward at the moment, so yeah, can trade out if you can. Seth Campbell is one that I'm trading out this week, very similar to the other boys. Over 400k, 465k, break even of 53 now. He's been a pretty good rookie so far this season. Probably hasn't put too many scores on the field as such, but generated well over 200k, so that's been very nice. Been a slower burn, but yeah, it's time to say goodbye. So thanks, Campbell, for all you've done. People trading at Dawson. Again, probably just league matchups. Wouldn't really be considering that. I still think he's sort of top 6 in the midfield there. Saligo one, definitely need to jump off. I did it last week, and you should too now. Has just been shocking since we all picked him up, I think. After that 100 score, just has not, broken over 80, really. He's had 79, 75, 77, 76, and then had 181 and dropped a low 37. So really been a disappointing pick, and I think he's gone backwards in cash since we all picked him up. So jump off him now. Harvey Harrison, another one I probably would hold. He doesn't have a huge amount of coin on his head, still has a break-even of 26, so he can make more money. It's just the concern whether he is still in that side after their buy, so that's the only concern for me. I'm not quite really sure on that one, but we'll have to wait and see. But I'd still probably hold him just in hopes that he does hold and can make some more money. Cash generation still is a big important in the back half of the season to... especially this year, I feel particular that I think a lot of teams are going to have that extra primo on the bench coming around. So even if not even 2, or you look to just jump off those guys that are losing some cash and just get to the top line again. So I don't know. Cash generation is very important. That's all I wanted to say. Ron Marshall, people jumping off him, I still wouldn't. I know the likes of Tom Campbell came back in the side after how many years. But he still scored fine. He scored the 105. I didn't kick any goals in that, so he was alright. And I don't expect Campbell to be in the side after the bye either. So no dramas there. I would not be trading him out. Zach Butters is next on the list, and we'll probably finish it off after him. Yep. And I don't mind it. Maybe these numbers are a bit inflated after the ban early on in the season, but that has been overturned, like I said. I did expect that to be overturned pretty quickly. So, yeah, he's free to play. But looking at his next 2 matchups, it is a bit of a worry that Berry could tag him this week and then a Windhagen next week. So, could be another few shocking scores. But I wouldn't be surprised with the likes of Berry and the Windhager that they go to Rosie. I still think Rosie's the number 1 tag target. I think he's a bit more damaging than a Butters. But in saying that, the Butters tag has been really working in the last couple of weeks, so I wouldn't be surprised if they keep up with that. But yeah, I'm looking at holding him. I think this way my team is, I'm doing that. Like I said, if you're in the top sort of fighting for a hat in top 1,000 even, and you're looking to make yourself a little bit different, he is 23% owned. you probably could jump off of him. He is losing a bunch of coin, and similar to a Jack Steele, you jump off to him and get to a top line guy. I probably wouldn't jump off the likes of those two and go to, a Rosie, who is a lot cheaper, or even a Salem, who I'll get into a little bit later, but just, it doesn't feel like an upgrade. It feels very sideways. You're jumping from one problem to another. Both are very similar in, they can all be tagged. Who knows what's going to happen with Salem with his job security, but yeah, not job security, with his role, sorry. But yeah, I think they'll sort of do it for the trade-out targets. There's no one really else there that's too really worth mentioning. You've got Garcia, good to go, red dot. Wangani Milura, red dot as well. Maybe the last one I'll talk about is Tim English, and I don't mind people trading him out. 1.4k coaches are trading him out. Did put up a nice 124 last week, but he has been putrid. He doesn't look good to the eye. Has dropped a few low scores like 77, 80, 91. Just isn't the same caliber as he was last year, so I don't mind trading him out there. Just try not to get too stuck in this loop of trading out Ruckman, as we all know that can ruin your season fairly quickly. So, but the only reason I'd be trading out a English is if you're going up to a Gorn. So that probably leads us into the main trade-in targets, and number one is Zach Merritt. I think that's pretty straightforward this week. Up against West Coast Eagles. I think he's a pretty good captain option this week as well. So, yeah, pretty straightforward for me there. Below 900k, so he's perfectly priced. Probably bottomed out in prices there. Great matchups in the next 2-3 weeks, realistically. Eagles, then Cats, and then the Pies, who have been fairly easy as well. So I really like those ones. It'll be interesting to see how easy Melbourne are going to be now that Petrarca's moved out of there. Are they going to be easier? Are they going to be harder? Who knows? The Crows have been pretty straightforward as well. So I really like his matchups to come. So he's a easy one to jump on. His consistency, he's only dropped below 100 twice this season with an 87 and a 78. So both are great options there. Jump on. I think he's the number one trade target easily. Number two is Salem, with 6.8k coaches are trading him in, and I don't mind it. It's a bit of a risky play for me, I would have thought. I get here's a good matchup to come, North, and then Brisbane, and then the Eagles, so good matchups there. It's just what his role is going to be. With the likes of Petrarca out, does Salem go into the middle? When we've seen Salem in the middle, he hasn't scored particularly well, and I feel like it's a bit of a trap. Like, we have seen him previously go quite well, and then look what happened last time. He scored a 52, a 67, and then had an injured 5. So it's one that you got to be really careful with. I'm not super confident with it, and it's not like he's putting up super high sitting scores. Like, he's scored a 93, an 88, and a 95, and then he had that really out there game with a 133 against St Kilda, the easiest matchup for defenders. So where he had 14 marks, which he's not going to have that every week. So I just don't feel like it's going to be groundbreaking as such. Like, it doesn't feel like it's going to be a smash play. He's priced at 706k, so what does he maybe go up 100k at most? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, but if you can go to him and say another lower priced rookie, not a lower priced premium, like we've got the Green, you've got Rosie there, you've got Simcom even is one I want to talk about as well later down the track. So if you can get a couple rookies up to those sort of guys, then I absolutely don't mind that, because you're getting, at the end of the day, you're still probably going to get 2 upgrades, which is all we're about at the moment, where we're trying to finish our teams, get all these rookies off the field by the end of the buys. Irish Maker is number 3 on the trade-in targets list. He is 236k, but he does have the buy this week. So if you're not struggling for numbers this week, he absolutely is a must trade in. I think his job security is fine. He should have another 2 or 3 weeks after the buy. So yeah, I think he's the easiest rookie downgrade this week, as we don't have many others, and that's probably what we'll get into a little bit later. Really struggling for trade-in targets for downgrades. There's not a whole lot of rookies on the list, but the next one on the list is Kyner Brown. I don't know how to say it, but I'll just go with that. I'll call him Brownie. He is been announced to debut this week for Melbourne, up against North, so should go pretty well. I do have his VFL scores up here from VFL obviously. Hopefully these are correct, but it doesn't. I don't really know what to expect from his role. Looks like he plays a bit of a wing role, or he plays like a half forward on either side, or a forward pocket. It looks like he just plays predominantly forward. So maybe that spells that Pickett is going to spend a lot more time in the midfield. That's maybe the only thing that I can think of, that why they'd bring in a forward rather than a midfielder. So, but wait on team selection there. Wait and see what happens. But his scores haven't been too bad, like for this year particularly, like 2024 onwards. He's got 58, 62, 98, 46, 88, 70, 81, 93, 52. So overall probably averaging around that 70 mark, about that, or maybe even 60. Didn't quite do the calculations correct there, but he's got decent scoring potential. Loves a tackle as well, from what I can see. He's had game high 10 tackles, 8, 7. Very different caliber, obviously, VFL to AFL, but has shown a decent scoring capacity. Don't expect too much, though. He is going to be playing forward, and Melbourne aren't in the best condition at the moment, so maybe he's not going to, kick too many goals. So have to wait and see, but I still think at the moment he's the only downgrade option for us if you already have a Sean Maker. So I think we're kind of forced into that one there. Sam Walsh is number 5 on the list. 4K coaches are trading him in. I also really like him. I'm bringing in Sam Walsh this week, and I think he's going to be pretty much a must-have this week. He just seems like he's going to go ballistic against the Cats. Did play them earlier on in the season and went 102. I know some people are concerned with the likes of his, time on ground was 72% last week and only scored a 79. But I'm not too worried about that. I think the week would have been good for him, and he's going to come back thirsty for the back half of the year. Another concern that people are thinking about is if he's going to cop any tag attention. Obviously, tags are the talk of town at the moment. There's so many to think about. It's actually quite hard to think about them all. But this week, particularly, Blitz halves has been the most recent tagger for the Cats, but I don't see a Blitz halves going with him. I think Blitz half matches up much better on a Cripps. Maybe they go O'Connor against him. O'Connor did play, or maybe even an Atkins could go onto Walsh, but I just feel like Walsh is much quicker than all of them, so maybe he can break the tag pretty easily. So I'm not too concerned this week particularly, but maybe down the track you've got like a Bedford, maybe he can keep up with him. And the Bulldogs don't typically tag, I don't think, not that I can think of. North have Liam Schultz and Phillips. Again, I think Walsh is just too classy of a player to be stopped by those guys. So we'll have to wait and watch on that one. I think he'll be fine. So besides that, Port don't really. They have Drew, but he hasn't been tagging. Pies haven't been tagging from what I'm aware of. Even Hawks haven't been tagging. Like, they haven't brought Finn in for a while. And I know Nash runs with a few midfielders, but I think he'll be a bit slow for Walshy there. No, Nash would definitely go to the likes of Cripps anyway. Like, he's just a ball in there. So, but I actually don't mind his run. I think his run's actually going to be quite good for the remainder of the season, even though there are some slight concerns with tagging. I think he's just one you want to jump on as soon as you can. Connor Rosie is one of the trade-in targets for the cheaper options. He's 130 break-even, 712k. Obviously, just returned from injury, scored a 72. So, not the greatest, and didn't really show me any signs that I'd absolutely want to jump on him just yet. Like, he's still got some money to burn before I could jump on him at his bottom price. Like, we'll probably pick him up under 600 and say 80k next week. Say he goes 100. So, that's probably what I'm waiting for. I think it's probably 1 week too early. But in saying that, if you're struggling to get to, those upgrades this week, then I don't mind jumping on him early. He still should get back to these scores that he's had in the first part of the season, where he is the captain of their side. He definitely loves to chip it around a fair bit, get a few marks, and he was a high priority target for me early on in the season. I just didn't quite get there in time, and luckily avoided his injuries. So yeah, I'd probably trade him in if you absolutely had to, but I'd still probably aim for the top end if you can. especially given that it's the last week of the three trades. So make use of it as you will. People trading in Sexton, it's a tricky one because I'm not confident he actually stays in the side this week. I haven't heard any news, but knowing that Weller, I think it's Weller. No, Powers. Is it Powers? Who is it? I can't remember. One of the two are coming back in. So his job security may be a bit indifferent, especially with when Powell, one of the two, who was, he wasn't scoring very well either. So fingers crossed he's done enough to hold his position in that side and continue to put some decent scores up for us. He definitely has the scoring potential to be an F6, but I'm not super confident with it just yet. He's still playing around with trading him out this week, especially if he's not named. So be prepared for that. So, yeah. Kobe McKercher's 3K coaches are jumping on him this week. I do expect him to play. Obviously, break even to 24. He's going to skyrocket in price. It's the only concern is if he's going to get managed and if he's going to be the sub. I don't see him being the sub. I just don't see how that's possible. Up against Melbourne as well, who are a very nice matchup for defenders. So I think he'll go quite well there. I'm still looking at trading him in. Doesn't feel great, but at the end of the day, I think he's definitely got the potential to be quite a good scorer. Like we saw in his last 3 games, he went 109, 99, and 88 in pretty good matchup. So I think he should go well there. Not too fussed. I'd like to get him, but I understand if your team's in a much better position, I'd probably would be avoiding him if you can. Just go to the top end. Zorko, another great option. If you don't have him, probably not the week. I'd probably do it, to be honest, though. He's got Port Adelaide, really tough matchup. Did they play before? No, they haven't played yet this season, but we know how they've got Port Adelaide have been. Break even of what, 126 was that? Where'd he go? 129. So you probably can go against him for another week. Hopefully he drops a bit more in coin, and then pick him up at a later stage. But maybe next week when he has Melbourne, who's actually a really good matchup, and he goes on a bit of a run. So that's probably my preference. Maybe I'd probably be targeting the likes of Merritt or Walsh before I go with the Zorko. They're both cheaper as well, so that's where I think about it. People jumping on Warner. Probably wouldn't. I don't think his job security is that there, but if he's named, then I don't mind it. He is a bit more expensive at 19k, so I personally wouldn't be doing it. Break him to 9. But if he's there and he's named, then I can't see why not. We don't have a huge amount of options there, so it could play off for you. Run isn't great next to particularly, and I'm not confident he actually is there in the weeks that they do have some good matchups. So not super happy with that one. Caldwell is one that's been heavily spoken about this week on multiple different platforms. 755k. Up against West Coast Eagles. We know what the matchups are like for Essendon. So obviously has a great run until the end of the season. Sorry, God, get my mixed up. Probably gonna only increase in coin from here. Looks like he's gonna be top 6 in his line in the forward line for the remainder of the season. So I don't mind jumping on him. So if you can do that, that's definitely a decent option there. My only concern is obviously what I've been saying for a while is that Parrish probably isn't too far away, so I still think he's let's have a look. I think he's still 4 weeks away. Parrish 4 weeks with calf. Setterfield comes back this week, more than likely, so maybe that takes some points off him and takes the remainder of the CBAs from him, because Setterfield that's the only position he plays midfield. So that's my only concern. His could be a little bit more inconsistent than what you expect. So I'm personally not jumping on it just because I don't have the coin and I want to get Walsh. I could possibly do it, and I have played around with it if I want to go him in a Rosie and spread that cash a bit evenly. But I don't mind going. I really want Walsh. That's my main thing. Moving down the list here, just do a couple more here. Golden still got another great trade-in target. He still makes my top 5 this week, even though he's over $1 million. He's been absolutely killing it the last month. So, or even look back further than that, he's only dropped below 103 times since the start of the season, not counting the opening round. So yeah, he's been super consistent. Flanders, if you haven't got him, you absolutely need to jump on. He should go pretty well this week and is a captain option even. People are hoping for Clay Hall to be announced to play, but I'm not hopeful. They haven't announced it yet. I'm not hopeful. Bailey Laurie from Melbourne, 216k forward. Has been the sub a lot this season, or I say a lot, has been sub 3 times, and did play, I think, a full game. No, he was a sub again last week, but because Petrarca got knocked out pretty quickly, he just came on and scored a 52. So he's got a break even of 15. Not against North Melbourne, could be alright. Downgrade. Hopefully he holds his position, but who knows what's going to happen there. Maybe he could be the sub again, and does what's his name, Brown, come in and take that position from him? Who knows? We have to wait and see on that one. Probably the last one we'll do here is Max Gawn, and like I said, he makes my top 5 this week. For those that don't have him, I think he's a must-have. He's clearly 10, 15 points better than next ruck, so he's miles better than the rest. I know he is more expensive, but the scoring rate he has been going at is ridiculous, and he provides the best captain option that there is out there. Look at these scores: 148, 152, 134, 149, 146. 137, just like his ceiling is unidentifiable. He's just ridiculous. So I think if you don't have him, you just got to sacrifice one of those rucks. I personally think English is probably one to jump off. He's probably worse off than Cherry or Grundy, or I'm definitely wouldn't jump off a Marshall. We know what he can do. So yeah, I think he's one that you have to plan to get as well. But that probably sort of does it for the trade-in, trade-out targets. Let's just quickly round through the main trade-out targets real quick here. So we have... Oh no, I haven't updated it. That's my bad. My God, that is not good. Can I quickly do this here? Give me 2 seconds, guys. I'll quickly update this. Poor planning on my behalf. Alright, hopefully now it's updated. Hopefully. Alright, so main trade-out targets. Round 15, yeah, we did it. Nice and quick. So, round 15 rookies, I still think they're the number 1 trade-out targets. Just to get your numbers this week. Again, this is the last week of 3 trades, so really trying to utilise getting maybe 2 rookies off and getting up that that mid-pricer up. I know a lot of us are looking at a Powell or a Sharp or, a few others there, so I think a few of those rookies need to go. Number 2, I still have Wilson and Bonner. I've sort of put both together because I know a lot of coaches needed to hold one or the other. So if you have either one of them, they are priorities to trade out. Number 3, I have Jack McRae. He's been a thorn on our side for long enough. I think it's time to jump off him. Not going to be top 6 forward, so yep, time to go there. Number 4 is where it gets a bit funny. Jeremy Sharp. I've put him in there just because he's going to lose a lot of cash. What was his break even? 125. Even though he should be playing this week, and that's probably why he's so low, is because if you're struggling for numbers, I would recommend holding him. No matter, don't take the donut or don't risk not having 18 just because he's going to lose some cash. Just let him sit there. He's going to lose some cash, whatever. Just get your points on field. So he's one that you need to plan the trade out this week, if not next week. Then lastly, I had Jack Steele down the bottom there at number 5, just because a lot of people are doing it this week, and I don't mind the trade-out option. Again, there's every chance that he turns it around, but I think the short-term pain, you're obviously jumping off a buy guy, you're going to get to, maybe a Merritt or a Walsh, and you got to get some instant reward, so I don't mind it there. But it's definitely not my preference. Quickly looking at the main trade-in targets, we've got Zach Merritt there, number 1. I think that's pretty, stock standard across the board. I think everyone's saying that this week. And more than likely he's going to absolutely stink it up this week. But I don't see how he does. He's a captain option for sure. Bit of sneak peek into the captain scores. He's gone 110, 128, and 111 in these last 3. So 2 last year, then already went 111 this year against 110 against him this year. So I don't see a world where he possibly goes under 100 this week. I don't think there's too much of a risk of a tag either. Looking at his next couple as well, maybe an Atkins, maybe a Blitzars, maybe a fucking, what's his name, O'Connor. Pies don't tag, Melbourne don't tag. Clicking off it by accident. Crows don't tag. Windhager maybe goes to him. That probably is a decent matchup for them. Freo don't really tag. Suns don't really tag. So I'm not. He seems like he's probably the obvious one to go to this week because he doesn't have too many tag options coming. So I just think he's one to jump on. He's still quite early owned. Well, he was prior to this round. He's jumped off a heap amount. So yeah, jump on him. Join the rest of us and enjoy what you get. And he's one that easily fights to a tag even if he does cop one. So he's going to be pretty consistent and probably top 6 if not 4 of the midfield. So easily number 1 there for me. Number 2, I have Sam Walsh, sort of as a bit of a sugar hit. Obviously, two great matchups in the Cats and the Tigers in the next 2 weeks. I'm not too concerned with any tags coming through, as I said. So I think he's going to be a great option. Again, been super consistent since he came back. Only dropped 2 lower scores in a really heavily tagged one against Sydney and a very poor game against Essendon. Not really too sure what happened in that game. I don't think he copped too much attention. Just was a tough game, lower percentage. And he's bound to have those. A couple free kicks against as well. So, but he's a stat stuffer. He's looking like he's getting a lot more marks as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if he has a bit of a ceiling score coming up, and that's what I'm hoping for this week. He's a great VC option this week. So I think he's easily number 2. Besides that, for the remainder of the list, it was sort of hard to go with a few of the upgrade options because what I'm looking for in the main trade-in targets are primos, like top of the line primos. You're spending up a little bit for them, but you know you're going to get that consistency. So I've just gone to the very top and gone to Errol Goulden there. Like I said, he's been a great pick again this season. One, unfortunately, I have missed, but eventually, hopefully, I can get onto him when he's a bit cheaper. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. So he's still to break it in 92. So if you can jump on this week, absolutely do it. He's not going to get much cheaper for a little while. Should be very consistent. The run isn't great, I must say that. Like, you got a couple harder matchups in here, like GWS this week isn't a great matchup trading to. Fremantle have been tough for midfielders. Maybe a tag coming his way, but maybe more than likely goes to Heaney. So he's probably one of those classic guys that don't get too much attention, given that they've got the likes of Heaney in the side or Warner as well. So he's sort of that second or third fiddle that don't really get too many attention. But yeah, there's possibilities is a thing, but I'm not too concerned with that at all. So I think he's number 3 for me. I've thrown in Gawn at number 4 there just because I know a lot of people will be willing to look at him, and I still think he's a great great trading target, especially if you've enjoyed him all. If you've enjoyed him all year, you just need to jump on him now. I don't think I said that correctly, but it is what it is. Number 5, I had Sarong. Had another bad game last week, but where was he? There he is. Higher break even, but I think he bounces back, and he's still, top of his line pretty much. He's been really consistent all year, so yeah, really unfortunate that I traded him in for his lowest score of the season. But what can you do? I think he's still good for the remainder of the season. So those are my top 5. If you're looking at a few of the cheaper option guys, then you've got the likes of Salem. Probably none of these are in particular order, but Salem, I know a lot of people are looking at him. Like I said, decent scoring output, but just probably lacks a ceiling. But run isn't too bad, but yeah, my concern is what his role is going to be now that Petrarca's out. I do expect it to be very similar. I'm not expecting him to go into the midfield, which is probably a good thing for him. And the ball may spend a bit more time in his half, given that Melbourne haven't been playing very well. But I'm probably not jumping on just there, but I don't mind him. Another cheaper one that we need to probably speak about is Simpkin. Obviously, he was the talk of the town last week, but was laid out, so everyone had to abort pretty quickly. So if you did manage to pick him up last week and you couldn't move off of him, then absolutely holding him, unless he's obviously not named, which I don't see why he wouldn't. He wasn't a part of the injury Yeah, he wasn't part of the injury report at all. Saying he just had to undergo a fitness test later in the week. So, haven't heard any news. I'd say he's pretty much good to go. But there is obviously a concern that he does have a hamstring issue. We've seen the likes of Rosie has had hamstring issues recently, and that hasn't turned out well. So, but if you're willing to take the risk, he has the scoring potential. We saw the 132 last week. With the likes of LDU out, I think that's the story. Is LDU is actually named out, so he would instantly be in that midfield 80%. Up against Melbourne, definitely could be a different score. So, yeah, don't mind him as an option there. A few others, you got Green around that same sort of price, or a little bit higher, about 742k. Now has bottomed out in cash. He's got a break even of 93. Hasn't hit that quite recently just yet, but I wouldn't expect to get too much cheaper, so you can probably jump on him now, even though he does have the Swans this week, who are a tougher matchup. So, yeah, he's going to become good eventually, just a matter of when, not if. Another one here is Rosie, another one that a lot of people are looking at this week. Still, probably 1 week too early for me, but there's every chance he does go 130. It's just maybe if the tag goes to him. I personally think that Berry goes to him. I think it's more of a... I think he just is able to go with Rosie a bit better, whereas Butter's a bit shorter. Probably can't keep up with him as much. So I personally just think Berry will go with Rosie rather than Butters, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to both. But I don't mind Rosie as a trading option. Going 1 week early, nothing wrong with that. And finally, who do I have there? Pickett is also on the list. That's not how you spell his name. Here's the one that I expect to get that midfield role. Probably can wait a week. He's got a break in of 60, so it's not like it's an absolute must-have. In this 590k, did have a nice 95. It is a bit of a risky play, very unique, obviously. So if you're wanting to go there, I still think he could be quite good for the remainder of the season if he does have that role. I'm probably waiting a week and sort of assessing. But I don't mind jumping a bit early if you're keen on him. I definitely am. Just need to see a bit more, I think. But that probably does it for the main trading targets. I think I'll move that now. Now let's sort of get into a bit of... I did miss one thing there. The main rookie trading targets. I haven't provided any downgrade options this week because it is so difficult at the moment. This week has probably been one of the hardest ones that I can remember. Like I said, if you don't have Ari Shawmaker, I think he's just one you have to grab. Only if you're not struggling for numbers this week, he should be fine for a few more weeks. So yeah, jump on him if you can. Besides that, we have very limited options. We've got the likes of Menzie, if he's here anywhere, Jai Menzie. But I'm very concerned that he's not going to have that role. We know Redmond was out for those 2 games, or at least the last game that I know of. I think he's due back this week. Where's Redmond? Yeah, he's a test to play this week. So I'd say he's more than likely back. So that would instantly take his role, and he'd probably be pushed back to being that sub. So, or maybe not even in the team. He's also quite more expensive at 345k. Break even of 3. So I'm probably not looking there. So really, we're just going off who debuts, really. So that's Brown. So, and we saw his scoring capacity isn't too bad. So I'm just probably going to back him in if he's the only downgrade option. He's also got the nice midfielder forward status. So even if he does become a red dot, he's a decent looping option. But obviously, I'd rather him produce some coin. So that's really all I have for the main rookie town day options. Now moving on to a bit of a new segment, I guess, but I think it's a standard across the board now, is the tag watch for this week. It's probably something I should have got up earlier. Oops, I don't want to move that. No, that one. Bringing up the fixture real quick. So a bit of a tag watch. I've got a list of players that could be tagged this week. So in the first game, the Friday night, we have... so obviously Walsh could be tagged here, or a Crisps, and that would be by a Blitzarves, O'Connor, or an Atkins. So bit of a watch there. On the flip side, you've got what's his name, Chincotta, but I don't think we're too concerned with anyone from the Cats. Maybe a Holmes could be a bit of a watch and a bit of a concern there, so maybe one I probably wouldn't be trading in this week just because I feel like Chincotta has the pace to go with him, and I feel like Holmes is the most damaging of that team, so bit of a concern there for me. For the first Saturday game, we've got Berry, who's obviously been tagging the last couple of weeks, so he will definitely go to the likes of either Rosie or Butters. I'm just not confident on which one. Like I said, I think it goes to Rosie, but I can't be confident. On the flip side, we have Drew that has previously done tag options, but hasn't been doing them recently, so I think they just do a bit of a run with roll, so I'm not too concerned with that one. So maybe watch out for a Neil or a Dunkley. If you have either of them, Drew could go to them. Next game here, we got James Jordan, obviously been a pretty big name in the last couple of weeks, or even this year, just given he's been tagging a lot, and he'll definitely go to Whitfield this week. It worked last time earlier in the season, so I don't see why they wouldn't go to him again. So don't be trading in Whitfield or be tapping him for sure. On the flip side of that, we got Bedford from GWS who tagged last week, and I forget who he tagged. No, I can't remember now exactly, but he did do a bit of a tagging role. But yeah, so I don't know if he'll play who tagged this game, but I wouldn't. He would probably go to a Heaney more than anything, I would say. Maybe even go to a Gordon. So it would be one of those two, I'd say. So I don't see him going into the back line with a Warner. So that's all I'm saying. So bit of a watch there. A couple more here. From Melbourne, we've got Neil Bullen who's been tagging. So maybe a Sheasel's bit of a problem this week. Maybe don't look to captain him. Just feel like Neil Bullen could definitely go to him. Neil Bullen didn't actually have any CBAs in that last game. So yeah. So he sort of starts on that half-forward flank where typically Sheasel starts. So I would very much expect it's going to Sheasel. I think he's the most damaging there. That's if they tag. They may not choose to, but it's just a bit of a flag. On the flip side of that, we got North Melbourne, who Schultz or Phillips have been doing the tagging. So maybe that goes to an Oliver. I don't know who else it would go to, realistically. Or maybe it goes to a Pickett. It's hard to really say. There's not really too many damaging Melbourne players at this point in time. Maybe it even goes to a Salem in the back line. Who knows? On to the final games in Sunday. I'm not really too concerned about too many of the tag targets in this game. Essendon don't typically tag. Guelphy has done a few jobs here and there, but that's typically on forward, so not really too concerned there at all. On the flip side, you got Eagles. Jimby typically does like a bit of a run with row. He's not really typically the fastest player, and I don't think it's going to match up well on what's his name, Merritt. So I think Merritt should be able to run free this week. And same with this next matchup in Fremantle and the Suns. Neither of them typically tag at all, so I think you clear there. But that sort of does it with the tag targets this week. Not tag targets, the tag watch this week. So just something to keep in mind when you're looking at trading in some players there. But I think we'll move on to the captains, I think. With 50 minutes in, we might as well get to the captains and finish off the video. So just going back to the top of the list to go through one by one. So obviously Walsh is a big target this week as a captain. I think he'll be really good. He makes my top 5. Holmes has not, just given the harder matchup and obviously the tag watch there. Not really interested in anyone in this game. Just Porto was a really tough matchup, so I'm not really looking at Dunkley or O'Neill. On the flip side, Butters and Walsh, Butters and Rosie also aren't in the greatest form, so I'll have no confidence in either of them in my top 5. But maybe, I probably honestly wouldn't be looking at either as captain options. I think we all have better options here. Next one we have, you could go with the Tom Green, but it's obviously a very tough matchup, but I'm probably not looking there at all. Definitely don't go Whitfield with a tag coming. On the flip side, you got Heaney and Goulden you could probably look at. Both probably don't make my top 5, just given that GWS have been a tougher matchup. and there's obviously the possibility of the tag. So neither of them have made my top list. Actually, one that has made top of my list, well, in my top 5, is a Brody Grundy. He went a 134 against Briggs last time they versed in, I think, round 8 this season. So I expect him to go big again this season. Although Briggs has been getting a bit back in form. Even if we look at this, I already had it up there. These are rucks against Briggs in the last couple of weeks. So Soldo only could put up a 34-5 last week. Before that, we had Toby Conway put up a 37. He was subbed out though. And then before that was Tim English with an 80 back in round 10. So bit of a concern there for that, but I still think he should be pretty good. He's also in some great ripping form. I think he's got 4 tons in a row. So I think he'll be good. Bit more unique. On to the next game. Oliver you could look at. Does he cop a bit of tension? Maybe. But I expect he gets a bit more used to that midfield now that Petrarca is subbed out. Is out for the remainder of the season, so they'll have to use him a bit more. On the flip side, there's a possibility that you could look at a Fisher. Melbourne have been a pretty easy matchup for defenders. We've seen what the likes of Ryan did to him, so plays a very similar role, just taking that cheap possession off the halfback. So probably one I'm probably not super confident with, but definitely a decent option. Merritt is probably number 1 for me this week. Don't see a tag coming. Obviously has a great scoring history against them, so should be really consistent and probably one you could easily fall into. Not really looking at anyone from the Eagles. I don't think anyone's super relevant there. And in the final game, you've got Sarong, Hayden Young, Ryan, Clark. All those probably could be considered, but the one that has made my top 5 is Sarong. I think he probably bounces back from last week. And while the Suns have been a pretty tough matchup, I think he could get it done there. He scored a 125 against them earlier on in the season, so he has the scoring potential, and it's at Optus as well, which is a bit open, so I expect him to bounce back pretty heavily. I think that sort of does it. I think one probably missed what's gone. You probably could look at him, but Cherry has been a tough matchup as well, so I'm not particularly looking at that. But let's look at the top 5, shall we? My top 5, I think are pretty common. So Merritt is number 1. All the points I've mentioned already. Went 110, 128, and 111 in the last 3, so he should be pretty consistent there, and maybe lacks the ceiling. But he also, one of the things I wanted to point out was that Parrish played earlier on in the season, and he went 147 or something like that. So that could be a lot more points for Merritt. So definitely one I'm probably going to be leaning into. Number 2, Brody Grundy. All the points I spoke about there. He scored 134 last time. Sorry about the dog barking in the background. I don't know what he's losing his shit over. I think he'd be pretty good against Briggs. He went 134 against him last time. Number 3, Sammy Walsh. I think should be pretty good again against the Geelong Cats. Only scored the 102 last time, but I think off the bye, bit fresher. I think he'll be good and put up a decent score, and I think he's my VC option this week. Flanders is number 4. I've put Flanders there up against Fremantle. Fremantle have been a very easy matchup for defenders. Designated kick-out players, so defenders, technically, yes. Just looking at here at DFS, they are plus 11 points for designated kick-out players, so he should go absolutely big again this week. But my only concern why he's probably a bit lower is that what happens with the likes of is Sexton in the team. Obviously, he's been a bit of a player with Sexton in the team, just sharing the ball around a bit more. With Powell or Weller, whoever's coming in, I probably should figure it out. Give me a quick second. It's Powell, isn't it? Yeah, Weller's still 4 weeks away, so I think it's Powell. So I think I'm not too sure what happens with the role there. I still think it'll be consistent, but I think he'll score well this week. And then I got number 5 at Sarong. Just given that he scored a 125 last week, should bounce back. Open up at Optus, hoping for a bit of a bounce back game. So don't mind them. What am I doing? I'm probably going like most people. I'm going Merritt as C and Walsh as my VC, as long as I get Walsh in. So quickly looking at my trades is probably another thing I need to look at. Merritt is definitely going for me. Not Merritt. What am I talking about? McRae, the other M. Let me just quickly grab my trades up. So I played with a couple different options. So obviously McRae, and then I'm looking at getting off of a Campbell. I think Campbell definitely goes for me. So that would go to a Walsh. The forward option, not a forward option. And then I would be getting a Brown as a downgrade option. I think he's the only one we can get. So that's sort of locking in that trade. And then it's a bit tough because I only got 30k for the remainder of that. So I'm either looking at a sideways option with a power, but there's not a whole lot of options I can go to. Whether it'll be using DBP to go to a McKercher, or just doing a rookie downgrade and banking maybe 100k for next week, because that's something I probably wanted to mention as well. Make your plans for next week, because we are back to 2 trades next week. So, doing these 2 rookies down, 1 up sort of thing. 2 rookies downgrade and getting that 1 up, 1 down sort of thing is going to be very difficult, especially with the rookies that we have. We don't really have the top line of the price order rookies at the moment. It'll be mainly sort of using these mid prices like a Tom Powell. I'm just struggling to name a few others to get that upgrade as such, which you should be doing. Your team should be in that position where you can use and trade out those guys and complete your team. Besides that, what else was I looking at? Yeah, that was pretty much what I was looking at. So it was either just whatever I'm trading at Tom Powell, and sidewaysing him, or trading out another rookie and downgrading him and banking coin. So bit of an unusual one, but these 2 are pretty much locked in for me, and it'll definitely be a Merritt VC. He'll swing in there. I'll change my team a bit up later, but he'll be my VC, and then I'll probably go into a Merritt as captain. Have tossed turned with Flanders, but just given the uncertainty, I'm just not too sure on that one. So maybe just go with the consistency, even though Flanders has been super consistent as well. To quickly finish the video, I guess I should go through some questions that I got on my review series. Let's have a quick look here. Not too many questions, but a question from Sting Bean. Luxury trade or not, could you see Steele coming back into form and being a top 8 mid? I see him coming back into form. Do I see him being a top 8 mid for the remainder of the season? Probably not. Looking at his run, if I want to bring that up real quick, it's not the greatest, like particularly early. Like he's got Port and then Sydney straight after, but then after that he's got Adelaide, West Coast, a couple of tougher ones in there, and then he's got Richmond, Geelong, and Carlton to finish it off. So probably one I'm not expecting to be top 8 again, but could definitely push that line. I think he's always been hovering around that sort of area. So hopefully that answers your question there. Next question from Juice. Hey Darren, just wanted to know your thoughts on Tom De Koning. Bit of a unique one there. I guess he's getting a bit more pricey now. Has scored quite well. 112, 119, and 94 there against a tougher matchup there. So, what are you going to say? Saying planning to bring him in if he continues to be solo ruck for English. Gives me extra cash to sideways Steele and closely to Merritt and Golden. His recent scores are juicy. Might be worthwhile move to get me 20 playing. Good luck this week. I did look into this a little bit earlier, and I will have to just say no. Where is them? So Pitnet is the other ruckman, and he has a test this week. So there's every chance that he is named this week, and we know what happens when Pitnet is inside. He drops back to being this sort of this 80 sort of guy. Can drop very stinky scores, so I'm just probably not risking it. If you don't have one of those top 5, I'd probably just be content with English at the moment. If you're not confident, if you don't have a Gorn, then maybe that's the way I'd go, but I probably wouldn't be getting too freaky in the ruck line. It can really hurt you. Next question comes from Sean. Hey mate, trading Steele to Merritt and Power to Caldwell for both trades. Would you trade Butters to Salem, Rosie, or McKercher as well, considering his next 2 weeks? he should be tagged by Berry and Windhager. So obviously he wants to trade out Butters. Yeah, okay. Who would I go to if I was trading Butters? Oh. Maybe just go to a Salem. I think he's probably the safer option rather than a Rosie or a McKercher. Every chance that Rosie is still getting over his injury and McKercher's also very similar, could be managed. Or you're saying just trade Salem to a rookie if in name. That's probably my preference. Like I personally wouldn't be trading Butters just unless you absolutely are in a luxurious position. But it sounds like you're only downgrading him to these risky guys as well. So I'd probably just be looking to move off the rookie like a Sullivan and just going to a Brown if you don't have him, or a Shawn Makers. It still leaves me with 21 trades and Dowling regardless of trades next week. Okay, so you have 21 primos next week. So you're in a very good position. I'd personally be holding Butters. Next question comes from Kate. Walsh or Sarong? Sarong is slightly cheaper. The break-evens are similar. Round 17 to 20 is all green for Sarong, so could hold off till then and get Walsh in the meantime. So that's probably my preference. If you can hold off on Sarong, he's probably going to get a little bit cheaper, whereas I see Walsh sort of breaking that break-even quite quickly. And he also has the very nice matchup. That's probably one thing I haven't done very well this year is trading in the players to have that big score. And so that's probably one of my preferences. Jump on a player that has a really nice matchup like a Walsh this week rather than a Strong. While he could be really good this week, it's unlikely given that it is a tough matchup. Maybe wait for, like I said, round 17 where it has Tigers. Wait a couple more weeks where he bottoms out in price. You also go on to say, I also have Butters, think I'll hold now, which allows me to come out of the buys with no rookies on field. Likely to trade Powell instead. Great options. That's my preference for sure. Trade Powell instead of Butters. Next question comes from CHW. A couple numbers there. Anyone can help me with my thoughts on Salem this week. Do I buy? Why do the traders think he is a good buyer? Probably spoken about him a fair bit already, but I think it's just because he's been scoring quite well in the last 4 weeks. Sort of looks like he's that main distributor off halfback at the moment, but he is a very big concern for me. We've seen it from him in the past. Definitely not cemented there, but yeah, he's not a bad option. Lower break even of 49. Definitely not going to be pushing top 6 defenders, that's for sure. So I'm not really happy with the option. I really want to go to the top of the line. So if you can avoid, definitely do it. If you have to get in, then just back it in. Next question comes from Chris Ram here. Is Walsh a sugar hit this week and next are the best 2 fixtures that we can get in fantasy? But after that, Sam faces teams with good taggers that will probably tag him, and he also had low time ground against Essendon. Do we still go Sam or look elsewhere? I'm still going Sam Walsh. Like I said, I get there's probably a few taggers coming up, but not too many. Like these next 2, I don't expect any. Like maybe an O'Connor runs with him, but I think he'll be fine. Maybe a Bedford runs with him against DWS. No one really tags at the Bulldogs. William Shields and Phillips possibly, but I still think he'll be able to break that. No one from Port Adelaide. No one from the Pies. No one from fucking Hawthorn either. And maybe a Jimby, but he's too slow for a Walsh as well. Only really Windhager at the end and maybe a few others. So not really any prolific taggers in there in my opinion. So I'd still definitely be jumping on a Walsh. But if you don't have a Merritt, then maybe go on Merritt instead. Thoughts as Caldwell as an option. I think I've already spoken about him in this video, but I don't mind him as an option. Obviously, I think he's going to be sort of top 6, maybe F5, F6 for the remainder of the season. Great run, as we've spoken about. Definitely won't cop any attention. It's just a concern with his role. His role has been very up and down, especially with the likes of Setterfield and Parrish set to return. Let's have a look here. Where is he? I can I never see name? Jack Caldwell. So he's been hovering around that 35 to 50% CBAs. I definitely expect that to sort of drop down now that Setterfield comes back. Setterfield's just easy. Looking here, he hasn't played for a while, but yeah, he's easily 70% CBAs, even though he only did 0%. I don't know. I'd expect Setterfield to go back in that midfield and Caldwell to drop out. So I don't mind him there. It's a bit of a risky play this week. I'm personally probably waiting one more week, but yeah, he's definitely got the scoring potential to be there. Couple more questions here. Power Porn Stars. Hey mates, even though I have a good week had a good week this week scored an 1865. I needed a 2001 to. Sorry, I don't know what you're saying there. You go on to say, how we feeling about Steele to Merritt, Butters to Walsh, and Harrison to Simkin? Yeah, but I think they're all great trades, honestly. If you can trade those ones, like sort of Harrison to Simkin, it sounds good, but you are still trading out two primos as such, so it seems a little bit sideways, but you're still getting up a rookie to a mid-pricer in a Simkin. So I still don't mind that as a trade upgrade. This just leaves me the Ari on the ground for rookies next week. Cool. That's still great trades. I definitely prefer that. Next couple questions here come from Jim. I think he's commented 3 times here. So he's gone Steele or Butters out first. I'd probably go with... Oh, it's tough. Very tough. Maybe Butters first, in my opinion. Just I think he's more likely to cop a tag. I don't think Steele's copying any tags anytime soon. Obviously high break even as well, I'm pretty sure. So I'd probably go Butters first. You've also got McKercher or Simpkin. I'd probably go Simpkin. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, maybe go Simpkin, just because I think he's probably closer to being that top 5 or top 6 of his line as a forward, rather than McKercher as a defender. McKercher, while he could be good, isn't going to be anywhere near those sort of lines, so probably go with Simpkin there. And then you follow up again with thoughts on Steele, Campbell, and Garcia to McKercher, Merritt, and 200k Rook. So very similar to what I'm doing. I'm trading out very similar there. Just going McRae instead of Steele. So definitely good trades there. So that will sort of do it today, guys. A bit of a longer one. I am in future probably looking at breaking these videos up into smaller videos. So looking at doing captains is one video, trade in, trade out targets is another video, and so forth. So give me your thoughts on that. Drop your comments down below if you've got any questions you want answered before teams tonight. Yeah, and hopefully you have a great week and smash it for the final buy round. Best of luck, and I'll catch you guys next week. Bye.